Identity is very important. You have to know yourself. But first of all, what is identity? What is that? What do we mean by that? When people talk about, identity, what are we talking about? Well, identity is a set of qualities, beliefs, and personality traits, appearance or expressions that characterize a person or a group of people. What they like, their history. Those are sort of things. There's so many examples of what do you call it? Identity. So I'm just going to give you a few of them and see, or at least to give you an understanding of exactly what we're talking about. Again, identity are characteristics that you believe in, that defines an individual. This includes characteristics of yourself, a group of people, membership, social groups, so on and so forth. Now, here are some examples of identity. Individualism, the belief that you as an individual, or should I say as a person, you have your own qualities as opposed to having the quality of somebody else. You're an individual, you're a person. It's the belief that you are an independent person who is defined by your own qualities as opposed to your membership in any group or groups. Individuals tend to identify with other individuals with aspects of society and culture that are individualistic. They're not really into group stuff. It's just about them and that's it. Another example of identity is our family. Your immediate and extended family is part of your identity. Your friends, your friends and your social circle, they're all part of your identity. Language is the foundation of thinking, and it's an extremely pervasive element of identity. I mean, I'm Igbo, and we're all, people of this hue, we're all of African ancestry. But I identify myself as an Igbo person, not just because of some of the cultural, aspects of this identity, but the fact that I speak the same language that I don't speak with the Yoruba, I don't speak with the Zulu, I don't speak with the Ashanti, I don't speak with the Senegalese or the Jamaican. I speak Igbo, and we have a group of people, millions of people that speak Igbo. So the language identifies me. It's the foundation of thinking, and it's an important element, very important element, one of the most important elements of identity. This may not be obvious when you are surrounded by your native language, because it's apparent that you're immersed in, a foreign language. So an example, for example, is you go on vacation to Tokyo, but you don't speak Japanese. You may suddenly strongly identify with anyone who could speak English. All of a sudden, if they could speak English and you're a European and you go in there and you can't speak Japanese, and then you see somebody from Africa who speaks Japanese and speak English, all of a sudden you identify with that person because of language, even though, you understand? So I could be in Japan and I don't understand Japanese, and I'll be looking for somebody who speaks Japanese, and I happen to see a guy from England who also speaks Igbo, just like me. All of a sudden I identify with the English guy who speaks Igbo. Language now becomes a common identity between me and that person. That's how language works. Then philosophy, identifying with a way of thinking about the universe, such as being pragmatic, pragmatism. And you find people that think the same way as you do, that have the same kind of philosophy. You identify with those people. Then personality, elements of your personality, that you feel define you or give you things in common with other people. An example would be an optimist who identifies with other optimists. Somebody who's a traditionalist like me, that identify with somebody else who's also a traditionalist. Even though they're not a traditionalist that proclaim or push my own traditions, they push their own. But our philosophy, our way of looking at things, is the same way. We're traditionalists. So he may come from Scotland and he's a traditionalist with Scottish culture, the dance and all that stuff they do with the skirts and all that, throwing the hammer, the tree throwing, all that, Scottish traditions. pagan religions, Halloween, all that stuff. Yeah, why not? Religion. That's another aspect of identity. On a global basis, around 86% of the world population belong to some kind of religion. I will get back to the religion thing, hopefully I'll have time to do that or remember to go back to religion. I'm going to make a note of it and just write religion so that hopefully I could get back to it. But let's continue. Other aspects of identity, race, the perception that there are groups that have related genetic ancestry that are labeled with broad terms such as Asian, African, European is a little broad. So there's so many aspects of being European, but they're from the same geographical area. So we kind of put them in the same category. Asians, you got people from Malaysia, but they're Asians. They don't necessarily, do things that the Japanese do, but they're all Asians, And how do you identify New Zealand? What is that? Australia. What is Australia? Is it Asia? Is in the East? We'll get back to that. Okay. Then ethnicity, a shared background such as nationality or culture. Nationality, belonging to a nation. Birthplace, a hometown or a nation where you were born. Culture is identity based on shared experiences and traditions. This exists on many levels, such as national culture, subcultures, group cultures, or supercultures. The one that controls everything, like the Catholic culture. That's a superculture right there. It's got 2 billion followers. That's power. I mean, there's no country in the world, with 2 billion people in it. But a religion controls that many people. And those 2 billion people are not all European. And those 2 billion people, most of them were forcefully coerced by any means necessary into the Catholic Church, including wiping out generations, genocide of other cultures, aboriginal cultures. The Africans in Australia, the Aboriginals, the Native Americans, so on and so forth. Evidence is there. I'm not making this stuff up. But it's just so that we have a better understanding of identity and how important it is, both for the individual and for the group, particularly people of African ancestry. Now, what we discuss here can be applied to any other, ethnicity in terms of the way races are defined, Asians, Europeans, blah, blah, blah. They all do the same thing. They all can do the same thing. Community, identity based on a sense of place, such as your hometown or your neighborhood. Where you from? Oh, I'm from the Bronx. First, you're from New York. Or should I say on the macro level, you're from the state of New York. Then you break it down a little bit more. You're from New York City. Then you break it down from a little bit more. Now you're talking about boroughs. I'm from the Bronx. When you talk about neighborhood as part of your identity, that's what I'm talking about. Disability, a sense of solidarity or connection to the disability community. Now, disability, that's broad, man. But we could talk about disability for the individual. You're blind or you can't hear, you're mute. The government, if they have any soul, like in the United States where you have the 508 compliant, best practices, and you want to make sure the blind people and people that can't hear, deaf people can navigate the web. I'm a web developer myself, so I know. Okay. Social status. Elements of social status such as appearance, wealth, style, personal presence, youthfulness. You identify with those groups if you think that you fit in there. Class, socioeconomic, working class, middle class, upper class. You identify with all kinds of stuff. Remember, there's over 30 of different examples I could give you. Consumer culture. It is common for products and services to attempt to sell elements of its identity, such as social status or peak experiences. For example, an individual who views a collection of shoes as an element of their identity, all of a sudden, people know him as the guy who has the lady that got all these beautiful shoes, or the dude that, man, he wears this really nice hats, boleros, and all that kind of stuff, African hats, whatever. He's a guy like everybody, when you talk about Steve Harvey, they don't really talk about Steve Harvey as a funny guy. I mean, he's funny sometimes he's not. You know, it's neither here or there for me. If you do a show and I find it funny, it's funny. If you do one that I don't find funny, it's not funny. And I'm not going to laugh at it. But we know Stevie Harvey because of what? His suits. That's his identity. So when we talk about some of the best dressed entertainers, I bet you he'd be top 5, whether you like his style or not. I'm not particularly into it. I don't wear suits. I don't care. But for people that wear suits, for people that is important to, for people that care about these fashion trends of, you know, European stylistics, fine, that's cool. For me, I don't care about a man with, you know, who's got a nice suit on. It means nothing to me. I'm an African. I like my African outfits and stuff like that. Things that are African centered. That's my identity. And I don't deviate from it. I don't even have a suit. I don't own one. I don't own a tie. I try to find myself or put myself in positions where I don't need to put those things on to go anywhere. Most of the time, if I have to wear a suit, I don't go. If I go to a wedding, I'm wearing my African thing. Now, if you tell me it's all everybody got to have a black suit or something, well, if my wife, you know, insists that I do it, fine. But me personally, I'll say, well, you know what? Nah, I ain't doing it. I'm not going to rent a suit, do anything. Don't make me your best man. I know we've been friends since we were 2 years old, but don't make me your best man because I don't care to wear that suit. It's not my thing. You know, as an African, as a traditionalist, if there's a wedding, you know, what's wrong with doing a wedding in your own African dresses? And why do I have to go to church for it? Why can't I just do an African wedding, traditional, whether it's the way you do it in South Africa, the Zulus do it, or the way the Igbos do it, or Yorubas, or the Hausas, whoever. Just do it African. Yeah. I don't have to go through that. People tell me, oh, there's going to be a pink wedding. Everybody got to have a pink shirt and a pink that. And then in the end, we're all looking like Europeans in pink. None of us looking like black folks. And then they talk about the wedding. Oh, such a beautiful wedding they did. Everything all European. Nobody talked about anything African about the wedding. You see it on YouTube. Some of our ladies got eyelashes so long, man. When they bat their eyes, I think they're one of these Sesame Street characters, Snop Luggerfuggles or whatever his name is, Snuffy or Fluffy. You know, the what do you call those things? The mammoth elephant with the long tusk, with the big eyes and all that stuff, right? Then you got people that belong to the group of women that like, you know, those lashes. They got groups on Facebook and on the internet, and they interact, and they share stories about their lashes and all that. And in the end, you're looking at you go, oh my God, there's nothing African about. Who are you identifying with? In the end, everybody sees us as zombies, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Politics, political views and affinity for a political party. Some nations are sharply divided along political lines, such as, you know, how you say, that have become pervasive part of identity. For example, in the United States, you know, part of your identity is I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican. On the macro level, I'm an American, whatever that means to you. Then from being an American, you're filling out an application form. Now you got to identify which race, what's your identity? What are you, black, white, green, yellow, or blue? You got to identify with that. So you're going from macro, and then you're going from micro till you get to the micro level as the individual. But you've passed from being an American citizen to being a Democrat or Republican to being black, white, red, green, blue, orange, whatever, Asian, African, whatever you want to be. Then we filter down to I'm from Nebraska. Then I'm from Omaha. Then I'm from some neighborhood. Then my address is 22758727. What kind of street name is that? That's the name of my street. So everything has whittled down. So identity has levels to it. It's just not about you. And this show is really about us and how we identify and how we see ourselves in the world and how we think people see us as people of African ancestry. I could talk about lifestyle, identity, gender identity, masculine, female characteristics, sexual orientation, profession, engineer, artist, professor, teacher, hobbies, karate, skiing, skating, whatever, weightlifting, membership, what clubs you belong to, accomplishments, all the PhD holders, like OKDB. You have the floor now. Media, experiences, sports. I play basketball, I play football, I'm a football player, I'm a soccer player. We can identify ourselves all kinds of ways, but in the end, the macro level is not what's important. It's the micro. Because only when the macro is good can it make up the whole and build the whole and make the whole work.
Yeah.